Okay, let's see here. I got the deck pretty much done. Land base, check. Mana curve, it's relatively alright. A little bit wonky, but I think it should get the job done. Also, sideboards proper. I think this deck tech is ready to go. Ow! What the heck? Let's see. Huh? Huh. Hey, Garruk. I guess you can say Garruk was going a little rogue, which is very fitting for this episode of the Brewing Labs. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the Brewing Labs. My name is Jordan Leroy Hansen, also known as LevDev. Let's get on with the brew. For this episode, we're actually making a combination of two of some people's favorite fiends, Garruk and Rogues. So we're doing kind of like a Garruk Rogue tribal deck, to a basic extent. Mostly heavy on the Rogue, using Garruk as just a really good way to buff up our Rogues, essentially. The main planeswalker of the deck is Garruk Unleash, a 4 mana 4 loyalty planeswalker. Allows us to buff up our creatures, +3/+3, gains trample. Ability you shouldn't sleep on, just being able to make our early game creatures into more aggressive mid-range threat creatures, and even making our mid-range creatures into potential finishers. Really nice. We also have the -2 if we need to develop board presence, and the -7 is just a really nice ultimate if we can get to it, but mostly we're just doing it for the +1, buffing our creatures consistently and making them have trample. It is awesome for this deck. Now, as for our rogue Scarily, pun intended, we have creatures such as Thief Guild's Enforcer, just a 1 mana 1/1 rogue that when it enters the battlefield, or when any rogue enters the battlefield, it allows us to mill our opponent 2 cards. Very nice, just being able to disrupt our opponent's deck. Very nice ability. We also throw a couple of eliminates in there in the early game just to help us against early game creatures and problematic threats early game. We also have Rob of the Rich, just a very powerful rogue, being able to attack in, have reach, being able to steal cards from the opponent's library, very nice. Plus, also, we can cast those spells as long as we attack with a rogue. You don't have to specifically attack with Rob of the Rich. As long as you attack with any rogue, which we have plenty of in the deck, you can cast the spells you steal with Rob of the Rich, which is a very nice fiend that actually I missed originally when testing decks, so keep that in mind. We also throw in our honorary rogue, which is Scavenging Ooze. Just a really good 2-drop. Just being able to hit out specific cards from our opponent's graveyard, or even we can eat some of our own stuff if necessary, and making it bigger, which then gets very beneficial with the Garruk buffs as well. Just sometimes you can have a 4/4 Ooze and making it a 7/7 with trample. It is nasty. Another rogue we put in the deck is Cunning Nightbonder, a 2-drop 2/2 with Flash, which then has it that our spells with Flash cost 1 less and can't be countered. Just a nice rogue in general. It's a flashy bear for the most part, but we do have some late game flash spells to keep in mind that making them uncounterable and costless. Very nice. We also throw in Chevelle, Bane of Monsters, just another powerful early game rogue. Having Death Touch is nice, and then anytime we remove a problematic permanent that we put a bounty counter on, specifically the creature or planeswalker, being able to gain a free life and draw a card, very nice. We also throw in some Murderous Rider, just a really nice free drop spell, as well as a creature that can help us remove problematic creatures, and just getting the 2 free lifelink. Very nice. You can even buff it with Garruk just to essentially make it a 5/6 with trample and lifelink, which I don't think I have to not say that that's kind of absurd. We also throw in Cultivate. You can either, I'll say this, if you don't want to play Cultivate, you can either have a tie between, I had a tie between whether playing Cultivate or Solemn Simulacrum. Mostly we need either one or the second of that card to help us with the mana fit scene for a free color deck design as we're doing. I decided to go with Cultivate rather than with Sad Robot, mostly just because our 4-drops are a little bit heavy at the moment, and I didn't want to go too heavy on them, so I decided to use Cultivate as our land kind of like spell, essentially, to help us filter. Nevertheless, I would say you can choose between Cultivate or Sad Robot, whatever suits your fancy. We also put Garrett's Harbinger in the deck, just because it's a very good 4/3 hexproof from black. Plus, whenever it deals damage to any opponent or opponent's planeswalker, we can dig that many cards into our library to dig for either a creature or a Garruk planeswalker. Which, seeing that we have a bunch of rogues, being able to trigger Thieves Guild Enforcer and get more rogues from our deck, really nice. We also throw in Rada, Halt of the Keld, mostly just because it's a very powerful free drop planeswalker if we're in kind of like the Gruul colors, which since we're in Jun, we are playing this. Just being able to play lands from a library, very nice, and being able to look at our library to figure out what we're going to be playing next and such, very great card into this deck, in my personal opinion. We also throw in our last rogue in the deck, which is Wrinkle, Master of the Pranks. A 4-mana free flying haste, just perfect for aggressive. As long as we have Garruk, it becomes then a 6/6 flying trample, which, yeah, enough said on that. And then just the factor that whenever it deals combat damage, it triggers any of those abilities that we want to choose, making anybody discard a card, or lose life and draw a card, or each player sacrifice a creature. Just a really good late game rogue. As I mentioned before, there's Garruk, but then we also throw in a few Night Pack Ambushers. This is one of our late game flash spells that helps get uncountered thanks to Cunning Nightbonder. It costs a little cheaper. Plus, it's also just a nice, aggressive 4/4 mid-range creature. Being able to, sometimes when we don't cast spells, being able to get a 2/2, which then becomes a free wolf creature. Very nice. Plus, also with one of the late game Garruk Planeswalkers we're playing, it does synergize well with Night Pack Ambusher. So, yeah, that's the primary reason. We also throw 2 Questing Beasts, just because it's a ridiculously absurd, powerful legendary card. It pretty much is one of our primary ways to hate against Planeswalkers in the late game, just being able to deal damage to it as long as we deal damage to the opponent, which relatively, with thanks to all of this text that Questing Beast has, you can relatively get in pretty easy unless with some very exceptional late game board states. So being able to get in for quick points of damage, which then deals damage to the Planeswalker, very nice. Our second to last card in the deck is Embercleave. Yep, this is the deck where we're making all the rogues, as well as Nightpack Ambusher, or Questing Beast, or even on a Rankle. Putting Embercleave on it and making Going to Cleveland, ridiculously absurd. This is pretty much one of our finishers in the deck. Then we also put in one, because it is a Garruk deck, I decided to put in one Garruk Cursed Huntsman. Just a really powerful late game Planeswalker, being able to create the Wolf tokens, which, hey, synergize well with Nightpack Ambusher. But also as well, just being able to use it to destroy a target creature and draw a card. Very nice. And then the -6 of getting an emblem and giving our creatures +3/+3 has trample. I can't stress enough of how powerful that is with all of our creatures and such. So, yeah, that's the main component of the deck. As for our land base, we're going with a 24 land base. We have 2 Castle Lockflame, 2 Swamp, 1 Mountain, 3 Forest, 4 Blood Crypt, 4 Overgrown Tomb, 2 Temple of Melody, 4 Stomping Ground, and 2 Fabled Passage. Now for our sideboard, we have 2 Blight Beetles to help us against the Selesnya counter deck archetype that we've seen going around recently, 3 Kitesail Freebooter to help us against more control decks or combo decks, 2 Heroic Interventions to help us against board wipes that are in a majority of decks at the moment, 2 Necromentia to help us against specific combo decks, 2 Extinction Events, just in case we need the board wipe against more aggressive matchups. We also, since Garruk technically, through the story of Eldraine and such, technically got cleansed from the Cauldron of Eternity and such. Long story, just go read the book if you want to. Essentially, we can at least put in theory that at least his grudge against Liliana is put to the side of the board. Yes, I waited that long to make that cheesy of a pun. But nevertheless, the reason why we have both Liliana Wake of the Deck and Liliana Dreadhorde General is because these are really good Planeswalkers to have when you go against the control matchup. Just being able to hate out an opponent's hand, and then also just getting the card draw value you get from Liliana Dreadhorde General, plus the -4 Edict ability. Very nice. Plus also, if you ultimate with Liliana, you pretty much win the game a majority of circumstances. Then we also throw 2 Erebos' Intervention to help us against the aggro matchups, just being able to gain life with that first module ability, and then just being able to do specific graveyard hate with the second module ability. It's just another recursion if we don't have Ooze on the battlefield at the time when we need to do a specific graveyard hate. And that is Garruk going rogue. We're going to show off a few matches of this deck just to show the overall play patterns. Let's get started with the testing of the brew, shall we? Okay, our first opponent is Jason Warper. This should be an interesting match. Let's see what shenanigans they brought to the table. Let's see, this hand... The Fabled Passage will help out a lot, but this is a risky keep to an extent. I mean, we can get the Forest, and then we can go play a turn 2 Scavenging Ooze or turn 2 Rop of the Rich. Yeah, let's actually try it. Though I will say this is kind of one of my more riskier keeps. We'll go get the Forest we need. Okay, so they're a little bit of a slow deck. That's going to help us out a lot. And we got even another second Forest, which is perfect. So we're going to play a Blood Crypt. We're going to play out the Robber of the Rich. Let's steal a card from their deck. And we steered... Okay, so yeah, we're going to get Simic Flash Shenanigans. Simic Flash, right? I kind of want to try to see if we can get a second Brindeboard Cutthroat out of them. There we go. Hey, we even got their Frid Mystic. Nice. Okay, so yeah, they're going to block here because they're tired of us stealing their stuff. We'll play out Rada because Rada's just a good aggressive card. Then we know that we have a Murderous Rider up on the top, so... I think I'm first going to go aggressive water at the moment. We could go on the aggressive and play stuff like a Questing Beast or such, but I think I want to try to fish out their bounce stuff or flash, because they probably have a Brazen. There we go. We got that out of their hand. So then, honestly, then what we can do here is we're going to pay to life. We're going to play out the Scavenging Ooze. Exile that. Make this a little big, and pass the turn. So they're going to go get their second island, which to help Frilled Mystic be on the stock. That's fair. Well, we're going to, quote-unquote, attack in. Force our opponent to flash in something if they want to block it. They decided not to, so we're just going to pass the turn. When you're going to get Simic Flash, you mostly have to be a responsive deck, because they're just going to hold out on their counter spells as much as they can. Well, we get a Temple of Malady. We can scry real quick. Garruk on the top. That's the main point of the deck, so we're going to keep that on top. Now, did they flash something in? They are being very, very defensive and not flashing anything in. Okay. We'll just destroy that and then eat it. Yet again, this is kind of a moment where I don't really want to play into it, so we're going to attack in, force our opponent to flash in something. There we go. And, yeah, we'll do the trade. That way, then, we have a choice here. We can either get back in Rada. We could also get this back in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we don't have enough for 2 card plays. You know what? I think we're actually going to get the Garruk out. Mines too. Create a beast token.
Better than people.
And our opponent scooped it up to the Garruk. Very nice. Very nice. Round 1 with Garruk Rogues. And we even ranked up with that. Nice. Okay, this next match we're going against Coleman? Well, we'll see what hand we got. Okay, I like this hand a lot. We got a Thieves Guild Enforcer, Scavenging Ooze. We can get another Forest. We can get Night Pack Ambusher. Get another Swamp. We can do Murderous Rider Shenanigans. So, yeah, that's a keep. So, let's see what our opponent's playing. They have a little kitty cat. We have a little doggo. Our opponent's deciding whether or not to keep. We're going to play a swamp and pass the turn. So, looks like mono green Shenanigans. So we're going to mill our opponent a few forests, which... Okay. We're going to play the mountain. We're going to pass the turn, see what they play next. Yeah, we'll get the Pelt Collector out of the way. Then we get this, which is nice, so we can play that. We'll attack in. I would be very surprised if they traded in. They did not. So we now have Murderous Rider online. Let's see what they play next. Okay, Nylea. That was a bit of a surprise, if I'm being honest. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here is... play this untap, attack in, and have both the Night Pack Ambusher and the Murderous Rider online, just in case. Because my guess is here they're going to play something like a Yorvo. That also works too. So that puts up the devotion up to 4. I don't really need to remove it yet, so yeah, we're going to flash in the Night Pack Ambusher. Then... we could play Rankle, swing in, make the opponent forced to sack. Nah, I think I'm going to actually wait to generate a Wolf token first. That way then we can sacrifice that with the Rankle once we play it next turn. But I think I want to Murderous Rider whatever the next fiend they're going to play here. Which is the Harpooner. Okay, bye-bye. Big Spider. Sure, you get a little Spider token out of it, but that doesn't add to the devotion. They might have a range of skill here, so we got to keep that in mind. They do not, thankfully. It's either that or Heroic Intervention could have been also a pickle for us, so... they play their own little Scavenging Ooze. I approve of the opponent's choice. So they're going to build up the Ooze. Makes perfect sense. And now the problem here is we have this, which has Reach, which makes playing Rankle a little bit awkward. I think I'm going to play the Chevelle, force the opponent to mill a little bit more. Though we do have to keep in mind that we are feeding their Ooze while doing this. I'm gonna play this... untap. Play our own Scavenging Ooze. And then... we don't really need to be aggressive at the moment, so... we're not going to attack, we're going to end the turn, and when they try to eat their own fiend, we're going to eat it. See, always a response. We'll eat that first. Thank you very much, opponent. Oh dear. That's going to be a problem. That is indestructible. We'll take the 5 for now, but we do need to find a way to deal with it. Our opponent definitely has the wide enough board state. Preferably we would want to destroy this, but we would probably want to get the Ooze out first, so if we draw like an early cost removal. That's not bad, actually. We could play Rankle. Questing Beast, though, is a really nice card for us. Plus, it's also defensive against that. How many cards do they have? They have 3. So we're definitely not going to give this Death Touch, so only Chevelle is going to have Death Touch. So it probably makes more logical sense to actually play the questing piece out. Yeah, that way then we could block against the other Gargoroth with it. Pass the turn. They're probably going to try to check to see... Okay, so they're going to do that. I'm going to put the forest in their graveyard for obvious reasons. Well, I did not suspect to see that, Vivian. Vivian, Nature's Avenger. How does this work again? Put free counters onto one target creature. That's... Okay, what's its minus? Reveal cards on top until you reveal a creature card. Put the card in hand. Okay, so it's a dig ability, and then the minus 6 gives a creature really big trample. So that could be a little scary. Let's see how the opponent attacks here. They're obviously going to attack with the Gargoroth, since it allows providing them card draw. Makes perfect sense. Well, we're going to block like that. And this time we'll block with this. And we're going to go num num. Oh, I forgot they had the Paradise Druid. Monkeys. Okay. So yeah, I think we're going to play the Field's Enforcer. We're going to snack. Because we're kind of at that point, though, we really want to make sure that we can eat their stuff before they eat our stuff. Kind of scenario, so yeah. Anything else? Actually, no. And we're going to eat our own stuff from our own graveyard before they do. If there was one thing that this match is going to show, it's that the power of Scavenging Ooze in Standard is pretty silly. Okay, so they're going to put counters on that? Okay. We're going to do it now because we can block with this, and they don't have a pump spell of any sort, so we don't really mind. Okay, so we gotta keep in mind that they can pretty much more or less... What to do? We could play Rankle, but they still have this. We could also just play Chevelle out, our second Chevelle. We could also play this out just to get the life touch, just build the board presence. We do have to deal with that Vivian soon, because they can minus sits pretty soon. So we gotta keep that on mind. I think I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna play the Rankle. Force the opponent to mill some more. And then... do it like that. So here we want to prioritize the reach. And do we want to eat? Well, the problem is they have mana to eat whatever we try to eat, so we got to keep that in mind. I think we go as is.
This place is like a zoo.
So yeah, they're going to eat. Which might be a problem, but the thing we got to keep in mind, we do have the Death Touch creature. Plus, we also have an Eliminate in the deck, so that's going to help out a lot. These are times where I'm kind of contemplating putting Ramthrough in this deck, but the thing is, we don't have consistent way to give our creatures trample besides the Garruk, so maybe if I do like a Shadow Spear, but yeah, they're going to make their ooze a little big. But the best part is they don't have a reach creature, which is mostly our main purpose.
I run with the wolves. Oh!
Okay, that was a little corny, but that was kind of funny corny, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so they're going to make sure they are definitely not attacking it with the Skoos, which is interesting to see. They're thinking on it, though. They are definitely thinking on it. Well, in this case, we're going to block that because we can. We'll block this since we have another Chevelle in hand. And we'll take the 5. So yeah, they're gonna eat some more. Num 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 num. There's a Garruk. We got choices here. I think the best play here is actually play the Chevelle. Force our opponent to mill a little bit more. Play the Murderous Rider, just because. And then the way we're going to do this is we're going to attack in with that. And then attack the Vivian. That's what I wanted. Our opponent's thinking here. Okay, perfect. So then now we can make each opponent sacrifice a creature, which is what we wanted to do. We're going to sacrifice our Murderous Rider. Fair enough, opponent. Still, ooze goes bye-bye. Okay, that was pretty good. So now the opponent might -1 if they don't have any plays in their hand. For now, I think the choice here is we're probably going to be playing the Garruk this next turn, probably. So yeah, they get a Migratory Greathorn. Good card. Do they have any other planes? They can definitely activate the abilities of Nylea Keeneye. Ooh, they got themselves a high... great. We can take it for now, but we gotta be very cautious. Oh, that's Cleveland. I think we play Harbinger now. We're gonna go on the defensive and just get that resource out of their hand.
I love holding this grudge.
Then we're gonna let this enter and tap. And just be a little bit on the defensive. Oh dear. That's a problem. Oh, wait. Oh, I got an idea. You know what? Yeah, let's attack in with that. See how they block. They decide not to block. Fair enough. We're going to imbequeath the Rankle. First one, we're going to make each opponent discard a card. We'll discard a Garruk Harbinger. They would discard that. Then we're going to make each opponent sacrifice a creature. We'll pick up the Robber. We'll sacrifice our Garruk's Harbinger, therefore surprise sacrifice our Migratory Greathorn. And then we can just play this out, just because. Well, that was a good pull from our opponent. So, yeah, now they're digging for cards again. Well, now it's time to play Garruk.
You're in the wrong neck of the woods, pal. I like to think big.
And, yeah, we'll attack in. The reason why I decided to attack with him rather than attack with Robbo the Rich is mostly because we really don't need Robbo the Rich at the moment, since our opponents, we won't be able to steal cards from our opponent's hand anymore. So I'd rather chump block with Robbo the Rich rather than, you know, than Chevelle at the moment. Oh, crap. Well, that might have cost me the game. Well, would I no, I would have even still lost even if I didn't. Well, if I didn't win aggressive, then I could have chump block. This is probably a proper lesson why sometimes you have to be very careful of when to go on the aggressive, because we should have realized that they could draw into more gas and be on the aggressive like that. Still, really good game. And that is a few matches with our take on Garruk going rogue. Now, overall, I think the deck can use a little bit of improvement here and there. A few cards that I did consider for the deck that you can consider with your own alteration of the deck if you want to. You consider throwing in cards like Ramfrew. I might replace that with Eliminate, potentially, and putting Eliminate in the sideboard, because we do have methods with Garruk as well as potentially other methods to give our creatures trample, that the Ramfrew clause on this might actually be a lot more conditional removal, especially if we have more death-touchy creatures like Chevelle. But it is one of those, I think if you do go into the Ramfrew plan, you do want to throw in a few more death touchers. Another few budget options I would also recommend for the deck if you need to get a few budget options. Let's say, for example, if you don't have Garruk Unleash, I would say maybe a Rhythm of the Wild is definitely something you can consider. It does kind of like the same thing, making our creature spells can't be countered, which is nice, and non-token creatures have haste, but also gives counter on stuff, which then, if you want to go into the counter-based strategy, you can roam into something like Pride Amalgam. So then, essentially, the strategy goes with you try to put counters on your rogues rather than just give automatic trample. But there is plenty other cards that do give creatures trample if you look in your collection. Like a couple of budget options I could think of right off the bat. It's stuff like Crash Rue is a good option, though that's more for combo-oriented decks. I would also recommend stuff such as trying the Triumph of Paynats. Gives a creature trample depending on the saga counters and then can help fight. Very nice. There's also stuff like Velocity of the Wilds. I would not really recommend it for this deck since a majority of our rogues are humans, so Velocity of the Wilds doesn't work that much. But if you're willing to spend the extra mana, even though it's a little costly, you could try Street Riot as a way to do that. But then there's also just a lot of buff spells that we have currently in green. Like, we have a ton. Like, we have, for example, you could have Cetesian Champion to do a minor buff and give trample. But there's even just like little buff spells like Giant Growth and etc, etc, etc. So there's a few things to consider. I was also considering putting Arduous Armored Killer in the sideboard because it helps us against enchantments, but it's a really tricky card to play since we, like I said again, have a lot more humans than non-humans. But if you do go into a more non-human rogue build, you could definitely try Gem Razor. Other than that, other recommendations I would say is if you have it, try Elder Gargaroth, because it is kind of nutty. The top end deck, though, was a little heavy, so I wanted to be a little cautious about playing it. There's also just stuff like Shadow Spear is also a card that kind of caught me by surprise that actually might do really well in the deck, so give that a shot. Other than that, I would say mostly for this deck, try to find cards that are either rogues or either ways to essentially give trample to your units. You could also just throw in a few extra other cards that you have, like maybe you have an extra Garruk Harbinger, throw in an extra Garruk Harbinger. Let's say you have 3 Garruks, but then don't have, say, a Garruk Husband, for example, then you could probably just throw in another Night Pack Ambusher, like little tweaks here and there like that. Overall, that is the deck tech video. I hope you all have a lovely night. This is LevDev, signing out. Bada beep, bada boop.